She had always believed that life was meant to be simple, that hard work and honesty would lead her to happiness. Every morning, she woke up with small but hopeful goals, finishing her tasks at work, calling her parents, keeping her dreams alive. Her life was ordinary, yet she carried within her a quiet determination. Friends admired her calm nature, and she had a few close people she trusted completely. She thought she understood what challenges were, but life was about to teach her a lesson far harsher than anything she had imagined. The first sign of trouble came unexpectedly. A project she had poured her heart into at work failed despite her dedication. Her supervisor, instead of acknowledging her efforts, criticized her publicly. That single moment made her question her abilities for the first time. Doubt crept into her mind like a silent shadow. She tried to convince herself it was just a minor setback, but the weight of it pressed down relentlessly. Every small failure that followed made her feel smaller, weaker, and unsure of her place in the world. At home, things were not easier. Family expectations felt like invisible chains. They wanted her to follow a path she didn't feel ready for, and every conversation became a reminder of her inadequacy. Financial pressures added another layer of worry. Bills piled up, and her savings seemed to vanish before she even realized it. Nights became long and lonely. She would lie awake staring at the ceiling, heart heavy, wondering if life would ever be kind to her. Each morning, she forced herself to wake, to go to work, to keep pretending, but inside, a storm was raging. Even her friendships began to feel distant. Some friends offered advice she didn't ask for, while others seemed to fade away when she needed support most. It was as if the world was testing her limits, and she was barely holding on. She remembered crying in silence, the kind of crying where no sound comes out, where your body shakes, and the heart aches too deeply to speak. She felt invisible, lost, and completely alone. Life, as she knew it, was slipping through her fingers. Yet, within this despair, small sparks of resistance existed. Sometimes, she would catch herself refusing to give up completely. She remembered the dreams she once held dear, the little victories she had achieved before everything seemed to crumble. Though faint, these memories reminded her of the strength buried deep inside. They were tiny threads, fragile but unbroken, hinting at the courage that she didn't yet realize she possessed. The story of her breaking point was not just about failure and sadness, it was the prelude to a transformation that would require all her inner strength, resilience, and determination. By the end of this stage, the audience understands the magnitude of her struggles. They feel her anxiety, her self-doubt, and her isolation. They see a person on the verge of collapse, yet with a hidden reserve of courage waiting to emerge. It sets the stage perfectly for her journey of transformation, allowing viewers to emotionally connect and anticipate the moment when she decides to fight back against life's relentless challenges. After months of feeling trapped in despair, she reached a moment when she realized she could no longer let life control her. It was not a sudden epiphany, but a quiet, powerful decision that formed in her heart one sleepless night. She looked around her empty apartment, the scattered papers, the unpaid bills, and she understood that if she didn't act, nothing would change. That realization was painful but strangely freeing. For the first time in months, she felt a flicker of control, a sense that maybe, just maybe, she could rebuild her life from the pieces that felt broken. Her first steps were small and deliberate. She began to create a daily routine that honored both her mental and physical health. Mornings were for reflection and planning, afternoons for focused work, and evenings for self-care. She reconnected with a mentor who had once guided her with kindness, seeking advice and encouragement. The mentor reminded her that courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to act despite it. These words became her mantra. Slowly, she started taking on small challenges, finishing tasks she had once avoided, reaching out to people she had neglected, learning new skills to strengthen her career prospects. Each small success brought a surge of confidence. She realized that progress did not need to be dramatic, even tiny victories mattered. The failures that had haunted her now felt less like dead ends and more like lessons. With every step forward, she shed the weight of self-doubt that had held her captive for so long. She laughed more often, spoke with clarity, and allowed herself to dream again, not as a distant fantasy, but as something attainable. Friends noticed the change, and slowly, relationships that had been strained began to heal. The true test of her courage came when she faced a situation that had terrified her for months, a critical career decision that involved risk and uncertainty. She remembered the nights of crying alone, the fear that had paralyzed her, and the hopelessness that had once felt permanent. But now, she approached the challenge with determination rather than fear. She prepared thoroughly, trusting in her abilities, and when the moment arrived, she acted decisively. Success did not come immediately, but the very act of confronting the challenge transformed her. She had moved from being a passive observer in her life to the author of her own story. By the time she looked back, she realized that courage had never been something outside of her. It had been there all along, hidden beneath layers of fear and despair. Life had tried to break her, and in some ways, it had, but in breaking her, it also gave her the opportunity to discover her strength. Her story became one of hope, a testament to the power of resilience, perseverance, and self-belief. The audience feels uplifted, inspired, and motivated, understanding that no matter how overwhelming life may seem, courage and determination can rebuild even the most shattered dreams.